Good morning, everyone. We'll start the session about 2 minutes. I think people are still joining. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Manoj Gupta, and I'm founder and CEO of Plotch.ai. So today, for today's session, I'm the chief instructor. I have with me my team. Neha. She will also conduct some part of the session, and Mikhail, he also conducts some part of the session. So we together, three of us, will do this session. We do these sessions. We have done a lot of these sessions previously, and what we have seen is that more you interact, the more you will learn, right? So we'd love if you ask a lot of questions. We would love you to do a lot of hands-on, which means that we would like you to build, if you want to build together kind of stuff. So there is actually a hands-on session that we have that we would want you to, do some kind of hands-on, automation kind of stuff, right? So that's something that we would encourage that you do. Now, just to give you background, like Plotch.ai, we basically have been doing AI for more than 2 years now. Our focus is primarily on agentic AI, and we are one of the very few companies in the world who are building an agentic AI framework. So that basically broadly are the company where we come from. Now, my background is that from IIT. I am alumnus. I have done masters. I was doing also my PhD in USA. And I started a company there. I've been uh, very active in the AI ecosystem. I would encourage you to follow me on LinkedIn. I you know you know post a lot of stuff which is sort of trending. So I'm quite sure you will be beneficial for you. So that basically is broadly my background. In this session, we are going to cover N8N, and while we'll get to the N8N, I would also want to present 4 5 intro slides on why we are doing N8N, because it's important for you to take that as a context. Why everyone is talking about N8N kind of stuff, right? And if you have that context, I think it will be easier for you to appreciate why we are doing this session, appreciate the whole power of N8N, and use it in your enterprise. Any questions before we start? Anyone wants to intro yourself to everyone. Usually we do that we ask everyone to do an introduction, but given we have only 3 hours today, I will make that as an option. Anyone who wants to introduce himself or herself?
Okay. Hi everyone. This side Abhimanyu from
Hi.
Rabite.
From which company? Sorry, Abhimanyu.
I am working in Rabite as a assistant manager, CRM and ERP.
Okay.
So currently I am managing Odoo CRM and data analysis for related work.
Hmm.
So I am curious to know about these things, how these things going to be help into my work for my organization.
Sure, sure.
Okay,
No,
that's all.
definitely. I think thank you, Abhimanyu, for introducing yourself.
Mm.
I'm quite sure it will be useful. If you have any questions around how maybe during the session that how it this can be useful to me, we will happy to expand on it, right? So feel free to ask questions. Thank you, Abhimanyu. Anyone who wants to also introduce himself or herself?
Hi Manoj, this is Jagdish Sunkar from Hita Agri FinTech.
Hi,
I
Jagdish.
participated in your last session. I want to build on that, please.
Great, Jagdish. Of course, some part of will be an overlap, but
Yeah,
hopefully, a lot of the things will be new for you. So,
that's okay.
yeah,
Thanks. Thanks.
thank you, Jagdish. Great. I think I'll start now. Right. Feel free to ask any questions in between. Right. So the session is designed this way. There'll be an intro. I'll do the intro, then walk through. So Mikhil will step in and we'll do a walkthrough of N8N. And then Mikhil will also, show some workflows, and we would like you to build a very simple and not a very complicated workflow, but something that so that you get a hands-on training on how to build a workflow kind of stuff. Then we'll take a break of 5 minutes. After that, there are two tools that we want to tell you about because I mean we have seen so many workflows now, and a lot of these workflows have simple tools like Google Sheets and Gmail and other stuff. But there are two tools which stand out today and being used a lot. One is Retail and one is Apify. And these two tools is something that we would want you to, go deep, and we'll tell you a little bit about those kind of stuff. Actually, not a little, but a little bit more detail about these two. And then we basically do look at some very complicated N8N workflows, uh, specifically on sales side, customer support side, and we'll also look at some simple ones like RAG and those kind of stuff, right? So, and then Q&A, I mean, Q&A, we have kept it at the end, but feel free to ask any questions in between and make it interactive kind of stuff, right? So that basically about the schedule. My slide is changing, right? If it's not changing, let me know. I'm on AI journey path. Um, and this basically, is the journey of the AI itself, right? The AI started like AI has been there for like 50 years. We have seen prediction, regression, ML as forefathers of Gen AI. Like before Gen AI came, a lot of us were talking about Markov chains and ML algorithms, XG boost and decision trees and those kind of stuff, right? Even CNN, RNN, and those kind of stuff, right? So that basically is the era which was there, you can say, till 2020, I mean, or 2017, because 2017 was sort of a pivotal year in AI, when Gen AI was given birth by transformer architecture, right? So Gen AI is the next step. Primarily, Gen AI has been very, very, I would say, solely talked about between 2020 to 2024. Like everyone's talking only about Gen AI, Gen AI, Gen AI kind of stuff, right? And post that, basically this year and year after is basically where a lot of people are talking about agentic AI, where now Gen AI basically unleashed in some ways. You can generate a lot of documents, articles, and good answers. World knowledge. You can get a lot of in-depth knowledge about a lot of questions kind of stuff. So Gen AI, images, videos, so more whole generative part, right? That's basically what Gen AI did. But now agentic AI is about enterprises. How can enterprises, how can an enterprise, like an organization where you are working, how can that benefit from AI? And that is basically the core part of agentic AI. It's about enterprise AI. How can how can we make enterprise more productive, better ROI, higher gross margins? That's basically the focus of agentic. And today, if you see, everyone is talking about agentic AI, and that's the reason why everyone is talking about it. It was very useful for enterprises. Then we are getting into cognitive AI. Now, cognitive AI is basically where we are looking at how can AI create innovation? Like how can AI become Einstein, or Newton kind of stuff, right? That they can think like human. They're not like PhD. PhD, I think already GPT-5 is claiming that it's already doing PhD kind of stuff. It is more than that. Like how do we become like innovative humans kind of stuff? How does AI get that power? So cognitive AI is basically there are a lot of people are talking about it. Probably it's not, we are still not there, but that's basically direction. And then the physical AI. Physical AI is basically where the robots, so the AI part that we generative AI, agentic AI, cognitive AI combined with the robots, right, then becomes like a human, basically, where it's basically the physical embodiment of AI, where robot is working with you, not with you as a technology person or someone professional working in your home with your mother, with your daughter or with your son kind of stuff, right? Teaching them as a tutor or those kind of stuff, right? So physical AI is where the AI is actually getting in our world kind of stuff, right? So that's basically where the world is headed. And this AI journey sort of, I thought I'll paint it so that you get a very past and the future idea of where AI is headed and where AI was kind of stuff now. But this is basically another slide which a lot of people liked when we presented is because it gives sort of for as an individual, as a professional, how can you look at AI, right? How can you benefit either as a person, as a better role in your company, or as a better CEO of a company or a founder of a company, right? So basically, you have to, if you are a Python coder, the way, and that's basically is if you are at one end of the AI, the another end of the AI is AI architect, right? And in between, basically, is where data science, AI engineer, and agent engineer comes into picture. And the way to think of it is that coder is just looking at building tools. Data science, basically person is primarily working on the data, so getting more insights, and data is a very critical part, by the way. So if you want to be an AI architect, that's basically what your stepping stone is. You have to know Python code. That's basically, I would not say you have to, but unless you, because AI is all about Python. That's basically is where a lot of stuff is. So Python code becomes like a base for you if you want to be an AI architect. You have to know how data transformations, more like a data science, ML engineer and stuff. You have to know how RAG works, how recommendation engine works, and those kinds of stuff, where the AI engineer comes into picture. Then how does the orchestration? This basically, from an AI engineer to an agent engineer is a journey where a lot of people are not aware, but that's basically where we are seeing a lot of activity that AI, how can I become an agent engineer? The agent engineer is where the person is actually transforming organization, right? It's basically introducing AI agents so that the whole organization is becoming automated, right? So this is where your CEOs, you start to get into the eyes of the CEO, because once you become an agent engineer, you basically are transforming the organization. And then AI architect, which basically connecting all the pieces, more like a strategy where I should take. So if you're an AI architect, you will be thinking about cognitive AI, for example. How can that benefit, in future kind of stuff. So that basically is sort of I wanted to highlight. There are only 600 AI architects. There are only 200 chief AI officers in India right now. There are 500, 5.8 million, 58 lakh Python coders or software developers in India right now. There are only 5,000 AI engineers in India right now. So that basically, and your salary jumps, from, if you're getting 10, you can get 20 times or even 100 times of a coder if you become an AI architect. And that's basically something I want to highlight, that that's where you should aspire. Now, what we are talking today, basically, N8N would make you a better AI engineer. It will not make you an agent engineer, but it will definitely make you a better AI engineer, kind of stuff. So that's how you have to place N8N, here, from that perspective. Now, if you're an enterprise, enterprises usually start with, employees having access to ChatGPT, Copilot, and those kind of stuff. And now, enterprises are thinking about workflows. How can we take simple workflows and help, the company become better, automated, get a better ROI? So workflows is where the focus is for a lot of enterprises today, and that's where the N8N again comes into picture. And then basically, how do I take workflows and a lot of other things and actually put it in one of my process, like deep into my process? It can be your invoice process, your payment process. It can be your revenue process, like conversion or sales process kind of stuff. Like how do I put? So that basically is where, your rack comes into picture, those kind of stuff, right? Then comes, how do I, now once I've embedded in my process, how do I put more agents in the process, and also use something like MCP server, external tools to make it more automated, right? So that's basically where the next journey of enterprise happens, and then after that, enterprises can really deploy for one large part of their work process to be completely automated, like AI ops with self-healing for enterprises, right? So that's how the enterprises can think. The cost of doing this for enterprises, of course, is also mentioned. Like, for ChatGPT, you can start with $10 to $20. Workflows will cost $200 to $500, but then you get into that, because the contract values become larger. So that's how you have to think as an enterprise. So just to summarize, AI journey, we are agentic AI. This is basically also where N8N comes into picture. Then as a professional AI career, this is how you have to look at it. AI engineer, N8N comes into picture. Then enterprise agentic AI journey workflows is where a lot of focus is, and that's where N8N comes into picture, kind of stuff, right? Now, what is hot right now? My slide has changed. Let me know if my slide doesn't change, if I'm talking something and and my slide is not reflecting that. So what is hot right now? This is basically the session. I think Jagdish also attended it last time. Is basically where we have put these four buckets as extremely hot right now topics in AI and agentic AI workflows, MCP servers, and RL. Now RL, of course, reinforcement learning is no one. I don't know if you have heard about it, but we feel that a lot of AI people don't know about RL, reinforcement learning. But this is basically the basis for the next jump in AI, which is what even the CEO of OpenAI is talking about, AGI. The AGI will happen because of RL, reinforcement learning. And that's basically the reason why it is getting. Actually, RL has been there for last 35 years. There's a paper published by Sutton, who seminal paper, which basically talks about RL and a lot of stuff. So it's been there for quite some time, but lost a lot of its charm when Gen AI became so hot. But RL is again picking up. So something, to think about when you're looking at, how do I become better in AI, is to look at these four buckets and see how you can become better in agentic AI workflows, MCP servers, and RL kind of stuff. Right now, that basically sort of the background I thought I'll give. Any questions till now for that? Otherwise, I'll get into any time. Yes, Sachna.
Yeah, so I am founder of Krishi Tech Industries Private Limited, and we
Okay.
are into the agriculture machinery manufacturing.
Okay.
So as far as AI is concerned, we are still using this LLM Chat GPT,
Mhm.
but not we have not gone ahead of that. So I just want your suggestion because as a founder, I'm not AI engineer or something like that.
Mhm.
So where should we start now if we want to implement agentic AI, and what could be the future roadmap?
Yeah, so actually a very good, it's a great question. So I'll just again come back to the slide, right? The enterprise agentic AI pathway, right? So you basically, when you said that your employees are using LLM ChatGPT, that's basically the step one here, right?
Yeah.
And because you're attending this N8N session, you have already taken your next step, which is the workflows, right?
Okay.
How can you use workflows in your organization to make your organization better, right? That basically is why N8N becomes important for you because that's the next step.
Okay.
Now, in your organization, there might be a lot of, I'm taking a simple example. Let's say you are into machinery, agri machinery, right? You
Yeah.
manufacture them,
Yes.
right? So it's a B2B business for you,
Yes, more of B2B,
more of B2B, right?
80% B2B. Yeah.
Yeah, 80% B2B. So I mean, from your perspective, you want to get more B2B client, right? That's something that maybe on top of your mind. How do we get more B2B clients?
Yes, B2B also, and right now we are doing 20% B2C also. So
Okay.
understand our consumer better. Like our end consumers are obviously farmers. So we want to do in both. We want to increase our ratio in B2C also. We know that majority of the revenue will come from B2B, but
Hmm.
as B2C increases, our margin increases.
As B2C increases your margin or B2B?
No, B2C.
B2C
Because
has more margin.
yeah, because when we are directly selling to the customer, we are just selling on the
Yeah.
MRP.
The margins are better because your customer acquisition there is cheaper, right? Because you're not paying your B2B channel, right? So,
Yeah,
so the question for you will be that when you scale up, right, how do you ensure that the customer is, the customer acquisition cost is not very high?
yeah.
For that, basically, the one thing is that you can, I mean, it's simplest of the thing I can think of right now is to create
Okay,
like maybe for farmers, you create like a chat bot where they can speak, not type, but they can speak in their local language and inquire about your machinery. Like this would be good for, I don't know, for the soil or for this harvest,
mm-hmm.
those kind of stuff, right? So, which basically sort of create for you a funnel where the farmers are connected with you, and then you can maybe through that chatbot or the chat application, you can engage with them more, right? So that's one thing I can think of.
Okay,
The second thing is basically you automate your B2B sales pipeline. So one thing is that I think our team will show is how you can you outbound call, right?
okay,
Where the agent is actually the person who's talking is an AI agent, not a human agent, right?
okay.
So you can call these farmers, you can call these B2B guys and say that here, do you have any question? Here is a good new machinery that I've launched. Do you have any, or there is a seminar that we are doing, attend this, those
Mhm.
kinds of stuff, right? So outbound. You're not paying humans. You basically are paying your employee AI agent for doing outbound call. And it is basically for you, more people you touch to your call, the more they know about your product and stuff, right?
Okay,
Now this is about sales. The internally also for a lot of your document processing, for your email, for your, let's say you have to send some email, automated email to some person. You can look at your workflow and say for this and that basically something we can do it offline also, in some other we can set up like a, we usually offer like a 15-minute for these kind of sessions, 15-minute one-on-one. So I'm happy to sit with you for 15 minutes one-on-one. But fundamentally, look at what one person is doing and then think how I can get it done by AI.
Okay. Okay.
That may need some bit of more, understanding of your workflow. So unfortunately, I can't comment on that, but that's a very long answer. Sorry, Archana, I gave,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I understand.
but hopefully you got the point, and
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much.
thank you for asking that great question. Yeah, so that basically is about the introduction part. I'll take the N8N some intro, and then of course Mikhail will take over from my team. N8N is an open source, which means that you don't really need to pay for it if you don't want to pay. It's a low code automation platform, which means that you don't really need to know coding, like for getting some kind of automation done, right? It basically allows you to connect multiple stuff. Sorry, I'm having some noise.
Oh, sorry. It was mine. Yeah.
Okay, thank
I'm
you very
just.
much. Yeah. And then with N8N, basically you can connect APIs, agents, and applications. So three A's you can think of, right? APIs, agents, and applications to basically get your things done. Without writing large amounts of code. So you don't. So good part about N8N is you don't really need to know Python code to 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 do N8N workflows. Right? Anyone in your team organization should be able to use it if they know some basic understanding of how AI works, kind of stuff, right? So that's basically is why N8N today is the number one fastest growing open source local project. It is amazing how N8N has grown in last 6 months, and it is the fastest growing right now. So that's the reason why everyone is talking about N8N, and that's why the reason why we are doing this session for you, kind of stuff, right? So good part is you can connect anything, integrate with 350 plus apps. Now it actually 400 apps. So you can connect to 400 plus apps. It can be your Gmail, your Google Sheets, your the tools like AP5 can be around, LinkedIn, can connect to multiple apps, kind of stuff, right? So that basically is the one of the reasons why N8N is interesting. You can connect anything. You can connect any complex workflow. I mean, that basically is another thing that it is not only for simple but for very very complex workflows. And will some of these complex workflows also something we'll show today. And you can also add custom code and node and integration when needed. Of course, it is you're getting into something which is not covered in this course, but basically you can also build you can custom code and those kind of stuff, right? That's again another thing. And then you can self-host your cloud, which means that you can use N8N cloud, which N8N provides, where you don't have to do anything, or you can host it yourself where you don't have to pay to N8N anything kind of stuff, and you can run unlimited kind of stuff, right? So that basically is the flexibility also N8N gives, that you can download, you can do it yourself, or you can use their cloud for running N8N. Now, excuse me, N8N basically broadly, if you look at N8N, it has a workflow builder, and that basically is the where the power of N8N comes, which means that it's a visual workflow. You don't really need to know coding or type or go on a terminal and do something. It is drag and drop. You basically drag, drop, you connect, and you basically get a workflow done. Right? For example, if your workflow is to read from Google Sheet, right, and send an email, you just need to connect two nodes. So there's a concept of node. It basically is something that we'll touch upon in more detail. But there's a concept of node which you connect two node. One is a node of Google Sheet and another is a node of Gmail, right? You connect them and you're done, right? It's that simple that for you to read document email from a document and send email is to connect two nodes, right? And these nodes are available to you. You don't really need to any programming for that, right? And so there's a concept of trigger. There's a concept node, which node is basically the two things. What you're connecting, that is the node. Then edges is basically the connector. You connect using edges, two nodes, right? And trigger is what triggers, starts the workflow. So something has to start, right? Something has to say that, okay, now send an email. Now what is the trigger? The trigger can be that someone has added a new email address in the Google Sheet. That is the trigger, right? So triggers are important because that starts your workflow. Nodes are important because they do the workflow, and edges are important because they connect the action nodes, like the people who want to connect, right? So it's like that. So these are three things that I thought I'll highlight here, of course, other than the whole visual part of it kind of stuff, right? So that basically about N8N workflow builder. So nodes are of different types, right? So if you look at the nodes, right, there are regular nodes. So these nodes are which basically perform tasks such as data processing, API calls, or database queries. These are like your apps, for example, Slack or Google Sheet, or if you want to call like APIs, or HTTP request, and those kind of nodes, right? So we'll get into these nodes practically when the team shows kind of stuff. But I'm just highlighting the three types of nodes here, which you have to be aware of. Another is a logic node, which basically is about should I do this or not, right? So there's a if logic, or should, or if something has happened, then you want to switch kind of stuff, or you want to merge, or you want to wait. Like, so these are logical nodes, and these nodes basically help in the branching and decision making. So if let's say if the email comes from Plotch.ai domain, don't send the email, because it basically means that I don't want to receive email from my own company. So then you need like an if logic somewhere, right? So you can put this if node and say that if the email which is coming has been entered in the Google Sheet has Plotch.ai keyword, then don't send the email kind of stuff. So you can create these kind of logic. So that's a logic node. And then there's a code node where you can actually put some kind of code. Now, N8N allows you to put some custom code, and it basically it's suppose only two. One is JavaScript, another is Python. So you can't do Go or PHP and those kind of stuff, only for these two. And it has only some pre-built functions and methods, so you can't really do a lot with that custom code, but it allows you to write some kind of stuff, right? So that custom code is there. Of course, also it doesn't allow you to download your some kind of library or those kind of stuff. So that also is a limitation. So mostly people use regular nodes and logic nodes. I mean, code nodes are not used a lot, but we can still use that kind of stuff, right? So that's something again I want to highlight. Now triggers is basically is something I think it's worth spending more time on. What are the types of trigger which are available, right? Which means that how do I start a workflow? What are the types of starting events or triggers that are available, right? So of course, one is trigger manually. You can manually start, right? So that is basically you just click a button and start. Right? So that is the simplest of the trigger. While we are testing, we most of the time use manual trigger. Uh, so that's something that something that you need to know about. Another is which we use a lot is the app event, which means that something has happened in the app. For example, if we are connected Telegram, you know, if a message come in Telegram, then start a trigger. If a message comes in chatbot, start a trigger. If an email comes, if a CRM entry happens in HubSpot, start a trigger kind of stuff, right? So these are the triggers which are available. A lot of app triggers which are available in N8N. So you don't really need to do much, but you have to understand that you can trigger on an external app. Something is happening in external app. You can trigger a workflow kind of stuff, right? That something is also we'll use a lot. Then on a schedule, of course, you can run that workflow every 2 minutes, every 5 minutes, every day as an automated kind of stuff. For example, if you want to, let's say, get an email at the end of the day about the most important emails in your inbox, that becomes like a scheduled workflow, which means that you are scheduling it every let's say midnight to send you an email which will read your inbox Gmail, look at all the emails which you have received in last 24 hours and summarize it based on your preferences you might have put, and then send it to you guys. Right? So that basically is an on a schedule trigger. On webhook call, now I have a slide after this about webhooks because it's important to understand the difference between webhook and API. A lot of people get confused about this. So but you can trigger on a webhook call. Now webhooks are important because it allows you N8N to connect to your system. So let's say you have a CRM of your own custom CRM or your own chatbot, or if you have your own let's say some program, right, Python code, and you want to basically trigger the workflow from that code, from that script that you have, then basically use a webhook call. So that basically is the reason why we have a trigger called webhook call. So that again becomes important when we're doing integration of N8N workflows with your system. Then on form submission, which means if you have a form submission, these forms are of course provided. So N8N provides a utility where you can create a form and you can host it, right? So if someone fills that N8N form, then this trigger happens, and you can then maybe send them an email, thank you email, thank you for uh, showing interest in my, let's say, agriculture machinery product, and I will, someone from my team will come back. So something like that in an on-form submission, and then when executed by another workflow, which means that there you can in N8N you can in one workflow you can call another workflow, right? So that basically is that trigger where you can call so you don't have to build like multiple workflows for multiple stuff, right? So you build a common workflow, and then you can call that workflow from multiple workflows kind of stuff, right? So that basically is the trigger, which is when executed by another workflow. And on chat message, again, N8N provides a simple chat interface. So if the chat comes in, if someone is wants to chat on that, then basically this trigger comes, which is on chat message. Right? So that's these 7 triggers which are available. Very important for you to know that how these triggers work. Because when you start an N8N, and if you will try to do that hands-on, the first thing it will ask you is to set up the trigger, right? And then you will start thinking, okay, then what is this trigger? And then if you know this, what these triggers mean, right, I think it will help you to get started in N8N. Now, webhooks and APIs for system integration, right? So that something is also I want to spend maybe 2 minutes on that. Is see N8N is where you build your workflow, but how do you connect that? How do you make it useful for your organization? One of the things that you might have to do is you might have to connect it with your system, right? So now you may have your own chatbot, you may have your own forms, right? Or you may have your own Python code. That's what I asked, right? So if you have to connect your system, let's say, in my Python code, I want to now send an email, right? So I can use a workflow. Now personalized email, let's say, because that may be a better example. A personalized email. Now personalized email, I have a workflow in N8N. How do I call that workflow from my Python code? So then I can use a webhook URL. So webhook URL is given by the N8N. So whenever you say this is a webhook, trigger, then basically it gives you a webhook URL. You can basically give that URL to your Python coder, who will then call that webhook, right? So usually webhooks are used for pushing. Now So that basically is the webhook part. Now, the API basically is how you connect N8N to the external world, right? Which means that how do, if you want to scrape any data, if you want to like push data, or if you want to, let's say, post on Facebook and LinkedIn, right? Or if you want to comment on LinkedIn, or if you want to comment on Reddit, right? How do you do that? That then you use API, right? So that basically is like pull push. You can also pull data. You can also push data. While N8 and webhook is primarily push. Someone is pushing something. Webhook is usually not used for any pulling. You can't pull data from N8N. That basically then use an API for that kind of stuff, right? So that basically is something that I thought I'll spend like 2 minutes. If any questions on this? On webhook API before I get into the maybe my final slide on N8N.
Just wanted to check the API integration, right? How do we do? Because if I have the companies basically have a security level for it, and the API has to be opened up, and then the integration has to be done. Is it so simple to do it with N8, or it's a complete process of API integrations has to be done with the systems to use whatever channel we want to enhance it for the customers?
See, your API will see most of the time when we are doing API integration. I'm assuming it's a REST API that you have, uh, and uh, and you might have some authentication token uh,
Correct.
in the header or something, right? Uh,
Mhm.
so in N8N there is a node called HTTP request, and we use that node to send an API. Now in that API, what the 2 to 3 things that it has. One thing is that is the API endpoint, right? So your system will have an API endpoint that needs to be called. It can be, let's say, get file, right? XX,
Mhm.
let's say, uh, somecompany.com/get file, right? That basically is the API endpoint. So that has to be put in. Then some kind of token has to be put in, right? API
Mhm.
token. It can be put in the header. It can also be put in the body, or body usually people don't put, but let's say in the header, and or you can put it in the URL kind of stuff, right? So and then the body JSON that you put, right? That is basically the API schema that you have. That schema has to be populated automatically. So that population is done by the N8N. Let's say
Okay.
that needs like a file name, right?
Mhm.
So the file name will be put by the N8N in that. You just have to put the schema for that,
Okay.
right? So we will show that if you want, we can show that while we do the hands-on how to do that in more detail. But
Mhm.
broadly, I hope that was understood, right, by you?
Understood.
Okay.
Okay.
Great. So now come to the deployment option, and that's a lot of other questions that we get from a lot of people that how can I use N8N? Now N8N Cloud has 14-day free trial, so you don't really need to pay anything. They don't ask for any credit card, so it's not like you have to put any credit card and those kind of stuff. So it's very simple to go to N8N. They will ask you to build an account if you don't already have while we are doing the hands-on, right? Build an account and do so. So it's a 14-day free trial with 1,000 workflow execution, which means that you can run 1,000 times a workflow, or a single workflow, or multiple workflows, kind of stuff, right? Now, N8N Cloud is now after 14-day. So the N8N three options broadly. N8N Cloud, which is basically the simplest, is hosted by N8N. So you basically don't have to do anything, and you can start with $20 per month, right? The pro plan, of course, is $50 per month, but you can start with $20 per month plan where you get 1,000 executions, and I think 5 workflows you get, kind of stuff. So you can start with that. The another option is that you can host it on Hostinger, where basically you will have to download the N8N. But Hostinger, good part is that it takes care a lot of other stuff like you don't need to worry about ngrok tunneling and those kind of stuff. So Hostinger takes care of that. That starts with $5. It's of course unlimited workflows execution. So if you really want to use workflows a lot of times and you don't want to pay N8N for all those workflows, then actually hosting solution is actually a very good. It is little bit more complicated, but not that complicated as to local installation, where you can install this locally in your computer. You don't have to pay anything. Complete privacy. You don't have to share any data with anyone. But it's complex. I mean, it is not a simple way to for you to download and host it. It requires OAuth setups. If you are using Google Sheet, some kind of tunneling and grok tunneling so that webhooks and can work and those kind of stuff. So it is a bit complicated. We suggest you start with N8N Cloud. You basically, as a beginner, if you're a beginner, see how N8N works for 14-day free trial. There are a lot of free templates which are available, so you don't really need to. You can actually tap into that for your need. There are a lot of workflows which are available, and Mikkel can show that in the next session. How you can use those existing templates to get started very quickly. And if you really want to go to the next level after a beginner and don't want to pay anytime, Hostinger is another solution. I don't know if any of here is available. If you want like me to spend like 2 minutes on Hostinger and how you can do that, we can do that. But that's something is another next option. Local installation is something we don't recommend unless you want to do it kind of stuff, right? Yeah, so that basically is where I will take recess and now hand over to Mikhail. Mikhail, are you there?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mikhail. So Mikhail will now conduct, he'll show some workflows. Like he'll actually take you through the N8N. He'll do a walkthrough first so that you get familiar with N8N, how you open an account, and those kind of stuff. While he's doing that, I would recommend you if you all can also create an N8N account if you're not already have done it, so that he would want you to play with it right here, so that if you have any questions, you can answer that very quickly, kind of stuff. So Mikhail will do that, and then he will show some workflows and then also do some hands-on training. Yeah, Mikhail, over to you. Thank you.
Yeah. So good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us deep dive. And in the next 1 hour, we'll understand the UI of anything, right? We'll understand which button does what. And then I'll create a simple workflow for you guys. You can replicate that you can replicate at your end. So let's start with the UI part. Let me share my screen. Is my screen visible?
It is, yes.
Yeah. So if you open up the N8N website, just a second. So if you open up the N8N website, it's the landing page looks like this, and you can go through the documentation. You can look at the community, and you can join the. I would suggest you to join the community, join the Discord. If you're stuck somewhere, they might help you with the flow. Also, after connecting to all these things, you can check the community. After that, you just have to click on get started. Right? You just have to fill out this form. It will create a hosting of its own, and the next view would be this. Okay? This is the part where you will be creating the workflows and everything. So this is the overview section, right? In the overview section, there is this summary of executions that you've done. Execution is basically once you run, if you run a workflow once, then it is counted as one execution. So all the execution that we have done so far, all the failed executions that has happened, failure rate, time save. Now, time save is very interesting. For example, if a workflow that if done manually takes 25 minutes, and if you while creating workflow mention that it takes 25 minutes, it will also calculate how much time you have saved. So you can calculate that using this feature.
Hello.
And then comes the runtime average as well, right? For example,
Yeah,
how many
I think
seconds?
Sandhu has something to say.
Yeah.
Yes, Sufi, please go ahead.
Yeah, the voice is not audible clearly. We are not able to understand what Nikhil is speaking.
Okay, Nikhil, can you be a little louder and probably you can take it a little slow so that everybody is able to comprehend?
Okay. Am I audible now? Is it audible?
I'm is it better now for
Yeah,
everyone?
Okay. So this was the execution summary, right? Does anyone have any questions regarding this? Sorry?
Yes, it is better now. I would request
Okay.
everybody to go on mute. Yeah, thanks, Nikhil. You can continue, Nikhil.
Okay. Okay. So we understood the execution part, right? It's the summary of all the execution have happened so far and the failed executions, the failure rate, the time saved, and the runtime average. Runtime average is nothing but how many seconds did the workflow actually run for. So that is the average runtime there. Next is the workflows. All the workflows that you have created so far will be listed here. So you can check them out here. And then comes the credentials. So you can connect to all the tools and all the tools that you have connected. So this is a very detailed based on which the summary is extracted. Also, there is this button called Create Flow. So if you want to create a new workflow, you can just click here and create new workflow. You can create new credentials. You can connect new tool using this button, create credentials. Then comes the personal view. Personal view is very similar to overview, but the only difference here is that you can create documents. Like there is an extra button, create a folder or document. So you can create different workflows specific to specific departments or specific task and club it together, right? And then comes the templates part, right? So templates, as sir said, it's very important. So whenever I start a new workflow, whenever I'm tasked to create a new workflow, I always start with templates. For example, if I want to create a workflow regarding LinkedIn, right? So I can just click LinkedIn and it will give me all the workflows regarding LinkedIn. So, for example, if I like this one, I can just go and explore the workflow. It's a basic template which I can build upon, right? I can create a more custom and complex version of this. But if you want to use it, then just click here, use it, copy this template, and go to one of the workflows and just copy paste it. So all that uh, workflow patterns will be pasted here. So that is a very simple thing. Now that was the homepage of the N8N, right? Now let's
Maybe
move
at
on to
this stage, Nikhil, we can ask if everybody has got a chance to go to the N8N site and log in if you already do not have an account. Maybe you can also log in with your Google account and have a look at the various sections that Nikhil just spoke of. So that'll be great because you will be able to then relate, and eventually we want you to create a very basic workflow, but that's the idea of having this immersive hands-on experience where you actually build a workflow and make it run for yourself. So it's going to be very interesting for you. So I would really request everyone that please go to N8N site and log in with maybe any of your Gmail accounts, and he's going to guide you through how to create a workflow on your own. Okay. Yeah, Mikhil, you can continue now.
yeah. So this is the editor part. Like you can just if you create a new workflow, this is the page where you will land. This is the editor part. This is where you will create the workflow. You will connect the nodes, add new nodes, add new logic, prompting, etc. Everything is done here. And so let me just yeah. So there are multiple buttons within this. For example, if you click here, you can add different triggers and nodes. As Sir said, every workflow starts with a trigger. These are all the list of the triggers that you can see, all the manual triggers, on-app triggers, web hook triggers, and you can add that. For example, I added a manual trigger. For manual trigger, you have to actually go and click execute workflow. So if you click it here, it will execute. It doesn't happen automatically, right? So that is how you add a node, right? And then comes the note part. You can add notes. You can write down all the things that you added. If you can write a guide here how to use this workflow, etc. So that is something that can be done using notes. And then comes the AI assistant part. I think this is very important because if you are stuck somewhere in the workflow, if it's throwing an error, then you can just copy paste the error and ask AI assistant of N8N to, what steps can I take for to resolve this, right? And it has all the documentation inbuilt, so you don't have to go and manually put the documentation here.
So this is
Then
really
come
helpful, right, Nikhil? Because while
Yeah,
building the workflow, if anybody gets stuck anywhere, it's like there
yeah,
is a tutoring right there where in
yeah,
a very
there is.
conversational way, in any way you want, you can just ask the question that I'm stuck here, or you can just mention that I just got this error. Can you help me with
Hmm.
that? And it's going to analyze as to how and you are building the workflow and where must be the possible reason and what must be the reason because of which you're getting that error, right? So this comes in very handy while
Yeah,
building the
yeah,
workflow, right? Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
Also, I like to highlight that if you don't want to chat from here, then you can just go to documentation and ask questions to the documentation itself if you're
Okay.
stuck somewhere.
Okay.
That is
That's
also a
more
possibility.
interesting because this will
Hmm.
have mostly all the possible issues that occur, right? So
Right.
you can just ask, and here it'll analyze this document and give you the
Hmm.
possible answer, right? Maybe because
Exactly.
you could sometimes be stuck on what should be my next step, right? And I've built
Yeah,
till this much, or this is the solution that I want to create. What should I do? What node should I use? And things like that may not be necessarily related to an error, but it could be related to how I should build something. So all of this, I think, from here also you can get the answers, and of course you have that assistant right there. So on the dashboard. So yes, both the possibilities are there. Yeah.
just a second. Let me just reshare my screen. Yeah. So after documentation part and the UI part, right, you understood the that you can use AI assistant for that. And just a second, I think there is some issue with the screen. So let me just reshare.
We are able to see your screen, Mikhail.
Yeah, it's stuck.
N8N.io is what we can see. And now the Excel sheet.
Okay, okay. So it's visible. Yeah.
Yes.
So this is the part uh, it's now also this is the node part, right? You can talk to the AI assistant. Then moving forward with this, you can also add triggers and all that, right? And if you connect a node, for example, I'll connect a Reddit node. There are within Reddit there are multiple nodes, right? There is action node, comment node, there is trigger node, etc. If I add create comment node, I can just place it anywhere, right? You can move it anywhere according to your design, according to your preference. And if you want to, if you have just randomly put it anywhere, you can just click on this button and it will tidy up things for you, right? And yeah, that was the editor part. And next is the execution part. So execution of all the execution of that specific workflow will be visible here. You can copy the version of that execution and paste it in the editor. So this is the execution part, and then comes the evaluation part. So in evaluation, you can connect a Google Sheet here. This is the this there's a video there. You can follow that video and connect a Google Sheet, which will you know record all the errors that has happened in this workflow and create a database of all the errors. So this is also very interesting. And yeah, this was the editor. Also regarding the nodes, the UI looks like this. There is input. Every node has an input and output section. Okay. So something is coming as input and this node is processing it and giving it as an output, right? Also there is settings and parameters you can connect to different, so this is like a normal node, right? There is trigger nodes, there is API LLM nodes, right? So you can create account using this feature as well. You can just click on create credentials and you can connect different tools using this feature. Uh, yes. Yeah. So this was all about the UI part. Now let me create a simple workflow for you. Uh, it is a three-node workflow where it's a chatbot where I'll just create a chat trigger, and create an AI agent and connect a LLM to it. Let's do that. So
Mikhail,
this is
maybe
the chat.
everybody would like to know that why do you need an LLM to support
Hmm.
that agent whenever any query is coming?
Yeah, I'll be going through that in detail first I create the logic. Uh,
Basically, to comprehend, to structure the answers and all of that, right? So that is why you require an LLM to support the agent,
hmm.
right?
Right. In LLM there are multiple things. Right? There is a chatbot which can chat like a normal person. Then there is a messenger model, right? If you want to create something, you can add a messenger model node. And chat model is like creating a chatbot for yourself. So someone needs to talk like a human, right? So you need model for it.
Yeah.
So first of all, let's connect. So this is a chat trigger, right? Now a chat trigger is this is an inbuilt N8N chat trigger. If you create it, it will create this function called chat, and you can talk using this part. But also this is a webhook, right? So webhook can be integrated within your website. So if you use this webhook in your website, so whenever a person comes to your website and chats, this chatbot will be triggered. Okay? So that is something. For example, if I activate this workflow, I'll show you the chat interface itself. So this is the chat interface, and you can talk to this agent. If I connect the AI model to this, it will start talking. So that is the part. Let's do that first. And this is the hosted chat. You can, if you want to embed this chat into website, you have to select this option, embed chat. The hosted chat is where you will not be able to use it in your website. For that, you have to use embed chat. Then comes the authentication part. You can add authentication, different kinds of authentication depending on your requirement. And then comes the different kind of options that you can add, allowed origins, load precision, etc. You can check that out as well. And the notes, right? And if you want to access documentation specifically for chat trigger, you can click here and see all the documentation regarding chat trigger. Now let's connect it to the AI agent first, and then we'll prompt the AI agent. This is an AI agent node, right? And within that, there are multiple things. So for now, we have connected it to chat trigger node. That's why I'm selecting this. But you can also define the prompt, right? For example, if the prompt is coming from an Excel sheet, so the schemas will be visible here. You can pick and drop the schemas here. So the prompt will become the input of the Excel sheet. Right? So if I connect the chatbot right now, and if I connect the model, this is the model. Uh, Regarding the model, you have to connect it using an API credential. So this is Gemini, right? So it's free. You can go to Google AI Studio, uh, click on this create API key, and it will create an API key which you can copy paste here in API key section, and click on save. So it will create connection to Google Gemini, right? So that is the part. I've created 7 different accounts, as you can see. Uh, and within that, I can also select the model I want. For example, if I want some other model, then Flash, I can select that. Uh, just in the model. For example, this Pro XP and all the models that are there in the Gemini, I can select any one of that. And so I connected the chat model. After that, I need to give a prompt. For that, I'll just trigger this. Let's just say hi. So this is just a second. Yeah. The issue is the system model. Yeah. So there is something called as prompt, and there is something called as system message. prompt is something where when you are prompting an AI agent, this comes from the input. We'll do that right now. And then the system message. System message is like a way to tell the AI agent that how do you need to think. For that, I've created a prompt using a very simple prompt, sorry, system message using ChatGPT. I told it to that you are a customer support agent, and below is the refund and order policy. I created a very basic e-commerce refund and order policy. It's a very generic one, and you can just paste it here. So now it has all the context it needs and what topic it needs to talk. Okay? And in the input section, you can just yeah. So in input, we have connected a chat trigger. That's why I selected a chat trigger bot. It will take input from the chat bot. The schema was added automatically. You can connect that. Yeah. Now if I talk to that agent, it will give me answers like, hello, I'm your AI customer service assistant. I'm here to help you with things like checking your order status, understanding our refund policy, or assisting with returns. And for complex issue, so this answer is basically based on the system message that I gave. Okay? And regarding the chat interface I have, I can just talk to it right now. Like, what is my refund? Just a second. I think just a second. Okay, so this is the part. Let's save this and use this URL. And once I trigger this, yeah, so it's working now. So I just said hi and it replied me hi. I'm this I'm bot name. You can specify the bot name in system message. You can specify the company name in system message, right? And I'm an AI customer service agent. So that is the part. And also I can ask any question regarding the refund. Hi, what is my so it's giving me answer based on the the system message. So if there is personalized or custom products, digital downloads, perishable goods, then it might not be refunded. So it was based on the chatbot itself, on the system message itself. Right? So this was the entire chatbot. It's a simple three-node chatbot. If you want, you can create, uh, replicate in your system right now. So anyone interested in doing that right
Yeah, that'll be interesting actually if all of you can just create this simple workflow. Also, you'll be able to share questions if you get stuck. It'll help others also to understand. Is anyone interested in building this workflow right now? Okay, maybe you can do it at your